My beloved child, pause for a moment and breathe. What you are about to hear is not random, not emotional imagination, and not coincidence. This message had been timed with precision from heaven itself. The title you were drawn to, Urgent Message from Heaven. Archangel Michael says a departed soul is trying to reach you right now. God says they left something meant for you. Do not delay. Is already working on your spirit. You did not find this message. This message found you. Listen carefully. Archangel Michael is stepping forward now, not with fear, but with urgency wrapped in divine love. There is a reason your heart felt a sudden heaviness, a strange pull, or an unexplained wave of emotion recently. Heaven is confirming this. A departed soul connected to your life has been trying to reach you. Not to scare you, not to confuse you, but to complete something that was left unfinished. This is rare. This is sacred. And this is why the word urgent matters. Archangel Michael says the veil has been gently lifted, not fully, but just enough. Enough for a message to pass through. Enough for a whisper to reach your spirit. Enough for you to feel their presence in memories, dreams, or sudden thoughts that seem to come from nowhere. That soul is not wandering. They are not lost. They are allowed, by God, to send a signal because something tied to your destiny is still waiting. Hear this clearly. God says they left something meant for you. This something is not always physical. Sometimes it is wisdom that was never spoken. Sometimes it is forgiveness that was never exchanged. Sometimes it is truth about your identity, your calling, or a decision you are about to make. And for some of you, yes, it is something tangible, something that carries spiritual weight far beyond its material value. Archangel Michael is standing as a guardian at the threshold of this revelation. He is not bringing chaos. He is bringing clarity. He is not stirring fear. He is awakening remembrance. You may have felt recently like time is speeding up, like doors are closing faster than expected. That is because heaven is saying, do not delay. This message is not for everyone. Many will scroll away because it does not resonate with their spirit. But you are still here because your soul recognizes the frequency. God is not bound by earthly time, but you are. And this is why the timing matters now. What was left for you is connected to a season that is already unfolding. Archangel Michael says the departed soul has been trying to reach you through gentle signs. A song playing at the exact right moment. A name appearing repeatedly. A sudden emotional wave when you least expect it. Even silence that feels loud. These are not accidents. They are invitations. Let me say something important. This is not about dwelling in the past. God never pulls you backward to trap you. He reveals the past only to unlock the future. The soul reaching out does not want you to grieve. They want you to receive. Receive closure. Receive strength. Receive what heaven preserved for you until you were ready. And readiness is not perfection. Readiness is willingness. Archangel Michael is reminding you now. You have been protected more than you realize. There were moments when the enemy tried to use loss, confusion, or unanswered questions to weaken your faith. But instead, God used those same moments to build spiritual authority inside you. That authority is required to receive what was left behind. This is why delay is dangerous. Not because God will punish you, but because hesitation can cause you to miss alignment. Heaven is moving with precision right now. Decisions you make in this season echo louder than usual. Conversations, prayers, even quiet moments alone. God is using them to guide you to the place where this unfinished matter will finally be resolved. Some of you are sensing that this message connects to a specific person. You already know who it is. The name may have surfaced in your mind the moment you heard the title. That confirmation is intentional. Do not ignore it. Archangel Michael says clarity will come step by step, not all at once, because your heart must remain steady. Others of you feel the connection but cannot yet identify the soul. That is okay. God reveals in layers to protect you from overwhelm. What matters right now is obedience to stillness. Create space. Pay attention. Pray, not in panic but in trust. This is the opening of a divine conversation. And hear this final word for now. Nothing that belongs to you in God's plan can be stolen, but it can be delayed if ignored. Heaven is gentle, but it is also precise. This moment matters more than you think. Stay present. Something is unfolding, and Archangel Michael is not stepping away. He is standing guard as the truth continues to emerge. My precious one, listen closely, because the atmosphere around you is shifting even as these words reach your ears. What heaven began to reveal has not slowed down. It has intensified. Archangel Michael is drawing nearer, not with thunder, but with a steady authority that settles your spirit. You may have noticed soul changes since the last moment you listened. Your thoughts feel deeper. Your emotions feel closer to the surface. This is not weakness. This is awareness. God is heightening your spiritual senses because what is approaching requires discernment, not fear. The departed soul reaching out is not doing so randomly. Archangel Michael says there is a divine permission window open right now. These windows do not remain open forever. They open when alignment is possible, when your heart, your faith, and your season intersect. That soul is not bringing sorrow. They are bringing instruction. Something they carried, something they learned, something they never had the chance to pass on, has been preserved by God until this exact moment. You may be wondering why now? Why after so much time? Heaven answers gently, because now you can carry it without breaking. Earlier, it would have crushed you. Earlier, it would have confused you. Earlier, you might have misunderstood it. But now, after what you have survived, after the prayers you whispered when no one heard, after the strength you built quietly, now you are ready. Archangel Michael says the enemy tried to distort your memory of this person, tried to wrap it in regret, guilt, or unanswered questions. But God is restoring the memory with truth. Not everything you believe about the ending was accurate. Not everything you assumed was left unfinished truly was. Some things were sealed on purpose so they could be opened later, by you. This is why heaven is urging you to pay attention to your inner nudges. You might feel drawn to revisit a place, open an old message, speak to someone you have not contacted in years, or pray in a way you have avoided. These are not random impulses. They are gentle coordinates. Archangel Michael is guiding you step by step so you do not miss the moment when understanding finally clicks. There is also a warning wrapped in love here. Do not rush to interpret signs with logic alone. Do not jump to conclusions fueled by emotion. God is not sending confusion. If something brings fear, panic, or heaviness, pause. Peace is the confirmation. Even urgency from heaven carries peace. Archangel Michael stands as a filter, ensuring only what is from God reaches you. Some of you are realizing that this message is connected to a decision you are facing right now. A choice about direction, commitment, or separation. The departed soul is not choosing for you, but they are illuminating what they learned too late. God is using their voice to spare you unnecessary pain and delay. This is mercy in motion. Others are sensing that what was left behind is tied to inheritance, not only material, but spiritual. A gift, a calling, a resilience that runs in your spiritual bloodline. The enemy tried to stop it with loss, but heaven preserved it through time. Archangel Michael says, "Nothing anointed by God expires." Now, let me speak directly to you as the one listening. If this message is touching you, do not keep it to yourself. When you like this video, when you share it, when you leave a comment, you are not boosting content, you are creating alignment. You are telling heaven, "I am present. I am listening." Subscribe to this channel and stay connected, because these messages build upon one another, just like Revelation does. Join this community, because what God is doing is not isolated, it is collective. Archangel Michael also says your voice matters. Comment what you are sensing, not in detail but in faith. Agreement releases momentum. Sharing this message may place it in front of someone who hadn't been praying for confirmation without words. Do not underestimate how obedience multiplies impact. Here is something crucial. Silence has been your shield, but it is no longer your assignment. God is gently asking you to engage, to participate, to acknowledge what you feel stirring. The more you interact with what God is revealing, the clearer it becomes. Revelation deepens with response. You might feel a temptation to step away because it feels intense. That is understandable. But hear this with clarity and calm. This is the moment where everything begins to make sense. What is coming next ties the signs together in a way you did not expect. Hold on, because what unfolds will bring relief, not pressure, and understanding, not confusion. Archangel Michael remains present, steady, and watchful. Heaven is not rushing you, but it is calling you forward. Every second you stay attentive, you move closer to receiving what was preserved for you. Do not lose focus now. What is about to be revealed carries the answer your spirit has been circling around for a long time. My beloved one, receive this with a calm heart, because what is unfolding now is not meant to overwhelm you, but to awaken you. Archangel Michael speaks with precision in this moment, saying that the connection you are sensing is not accidental, and it is not emotional imagination. Heaven does not communicate through confusion. It communicates through alignment. The reason this message feels deeply personal is because it is touching a covenant thread in your life that has existed longer than you realize. The departed soul reaching toward you is not breaking divine order. God Himself has permitted this moment because something vital was entrusted to them on earth that could only be completed through you. Archangel Michael says this soul carries peace, not unrest. If you feel a quiet pull rather than fear, that is your confirmation. Heaven never invades, it invites. You may have noticed patterns repeating in your life lately. Similar lessons, similar crossroads, similar emotional themes. This is not failure. This is refinement. God often brings us back to a spiritual intersection until we are ready to see it clearly. The departed soul is connected to one of these patterns. What they learn through experience, struggle, or sacrifice is now being transferred as wisdom so you do not have to repeat the same cycle. Archangel Michael is also revealing that there was a moment before their departure when something shifted internally for them. A realization, a regret, a prayer whispered too late. God heard it, and instead of allowing that prayer to dissolve, He preserved it, attached it to your destiny, and scheduled it for fulfillment through you. That is why the connection feels purposeful rather than emotional. This does not mean you are meant to carry their burden. You are meant to carry their insight. There is a difference. God never assigns weight without also providing strength. What is being handed to you now is lighter than what they carried, because it has been refined through heaven. Some of you are beginning to understand that this message is not about loss at all. It is about continuity. Life in God does not end. It transforms. And what transforms can still speak, still guide, still bless, when God allows it. Archangel Michael stands guard to ensure that only what serves God's will reaches you. You may feel prompted to forgive someone, including yourself. That is part of the release. Forgiveness is not approval of what hurt you. It is permission for clarity to enter. The departed soul is not asking for tears. They are asking for peace. When peace settles, the transfer completes. Pay attention to the next few days. Not with anxiety, but with awareness. God often confirms spiritual moments through gentle repetition. A phrase you hear twice. A thought that returns calmly. A scripture that suddenly stands out. These are not signs to chase, but confirmations to receive. Archangel Michael says there is protection around you right now that you cannot see. You are being shielded from misinterpretation and emotional overload. That is why the message is coming in waves rather than all at once. God is kind. He knows how much you can carry. Now hear this clearly. This revelation is not only for your benefit. What you receive will eventually be shared, lived out, or demonstrated through your life. Others will be strengthened because you listened. Others will heal because you understood. Others will move forward because you chose not to ignore heaven's whisper. And now, as this part closes, heaven invites you into a sacred response. Type "I receive with peace" in the comments if this message is speaking to your spirit. Blessing code 444 has just been released over your life. If this message stirred your heart, hear me clearly now. This work is not about a channel or a voice. It is about souls being reached at the exact moment they are ready. As I speak, I feel led to say this directly to you. Your support becomes a seed that God multiplies into light for others walking in confusion. Scripture says God gives seed to the sower, and today He is speaking that verse personally over you. When you support this mission through Super Thanks, membership, or PayPal, linked in the description, you are not donating, you are responding. Heaven is opening doors right now, and obedience in this moment carries weight. I speak blessing over every giver, that what you release will return pressed down, shaken together, and overflowing. Act now, because this is not a suggestion. It is an invitation from God Himself. My dear one, settle your spirit as we move deeper, because what unfolds now brings understanding to what previously felt mysterious. Archangel Michael speaks with calm authority, reminding you that heaven never reveals without purpose. The connection you are sensing is now moving from awareness into meaning. This is where many people become distracted, but you are still here because your soul is steady enough to receive clarity. What the departed soul left behind is not floating in the air. It is anchored to a specific moment, decision, or path in your life. God is not vague. He is precise. Archangel Michael says this is why certain memories have resurfaced recently, not to reopen wounds, but to highlight crossroads. There was a choice you were meant to make differently, not out of regret, but out of growth. And now heaven is giving you a second lens, not a second chance, but a wiser one. You may have wondered why certain doors never opened for you, even when you prayed sincerely. Heaven answers gently. Some doors were delayed because what was left for you had not yet been retrieved. God protects outcomes by protecting timing. If things had moved faster, you might have missed the alignment that is now forming. Archangel Michael is revealing that the departed soul understands this now from a higher perspective. They see how God's hand was present even in moments that felt empty. Their attempt to reach you is not about correcting the past. It is about strengthening your future. They are not asking you to go backward. They are pointing you forward with insight. There is also something important about your emotions right now. If you feel a mix of peace and seriousness, that is correct. Heaven does not always feel light. Sometimes it feels weighty because truth carries substance. Archangel Michael says you are learning to distinguish between emotional heaviness and spiritual depth. One drains you, the other grounds you. This part of the message is about responsibility, not pressure. When God entrusts you with insight, He is inviting you to maturity. Not everyone receives this kind of clarity because not everyone is willing to carry it with humility. You have shown, through endurance, that you can. Some of you are beginning to sense that what was left for you connects to your voice, your influence, your ability to guide, protect, or encourage others. The departed soul recognizes that you are walking a path they once walked, and they are offering what they learned so you do not walk it blindly. This is not control, it is counsel. Archangel Michael emphasizes that this guidance does not override your free will. You are not being forced. You are being informed. God honors choice, and that is why this message feels invitational rather than commanding. But make no mistake, ignoring wisdom does not cancel its truth. It only delays its benefit. Pay attention to how you respond internally when certain thoughts arise. Do you feel resistance or do you feel recognition? Resistance often points to fear of change. Recognition points to truth. Heaven is patient, but it is also observant. God notices what you lean toward. You may feel a desire to simplify your life right now, to step back from noise, opinions, and unnecessary obligations. This is not withdrawal, it is preparation. Archangel Michael says clarity requires space. What was left for you needs room to settle before it can be activated. There is also healing happening quietly beneath the surface. Old confusion is loosening its grip. Old guilt is losing its voice. This is not because you figured everything out, but because God is restoring order. When order returns, peace follows naturally. Understand this. The departed soul is not hovering over you. They are not watching your every move. They have done their part by responding to God's instruction. The rest unfolds between you and heaven. Archangel Michael stands as witness, not mediator. God alone completes the work. As this message continues, you may notice your prayers shifting. Fewer words, more sincerity. That is growth. God listens not to length, but to alignment. You are learning how to listen as much as you speak, and that is where revelation deepens. Do not rush yourself. What heaven is doing is unfolding exactly as intended. You are not behind. You are not late. You are precisely where you need to be to receive what was preserved for you. Stay steady. Stay open. The next unfolding will bring definition to what is already stirring within you. My cherished one, take a slow breath as we continue, because what heaven reveals now brings grounding to everything you have felt stirring inside. Archangel Michael speaks with steadiness, reminding you that spiritual revelation is not meant to pull you out of daily life, but to anchor you more deeply within it. What is happening is not separate from your reality. It is aligning your reality. You may have noticed that after receiving the earlier messages, your emotions began to settle instead of intensify. That is intentional. God does not keep His children in suspense. He leads them into understanding. The departed soul's role is not ongoing communication. Their role was to signal. Now the signal has been received, and heaven is transitioning you from awareness into application. Archangel Michael says this is the stage where discernment becomes essential. Not every thought that surfaces now is instruction. Some are simply memories clearing out. Others are old fears testing whether you will cling to them again. Do not wrestle with these thoughts. Observe them. What is from God will feel steady, not demanding. What is not will fade when you do not feed it attention. There is a subtle shift happening in your priorities. Things that once felt urgent no longer carry the same weight. And things you postponed are quietly calling for your focus. This is not coincidence. What was left for you is connected to alignment, and alignment often requires rearrangement. God is not asking you to do more. He is asking you to do what matters most. Some of you are realizing that the departed soul's message intersects with a truth you already knew but avoided. Not because you were disobedient, but because the cost felt unclear. Now the cost feels smaller than the delay. Heaven often waits until clarity outweighs fear. That threshold is being crossed right now. Archangel Michael emphasizes that this moment is not dramatic in the way the world defines drama. It is quiet. It is firm. It is resolute. God works deeply before He works visibly. What you are agreeing to internally will soon reflect externally, without strain. There may also be a sense of relief you cannot fully explain, as if a question you carried subconsciously has finally been answered. That relief is confirmation. The spirit recognizes truth faster than the mind can explain it. Trust that recognition. You might feel led to change how you speak about your past. Less apology. Less justification. More acceptance. This is healing. God is not rewriting your story. He is reframing it so it no longer holds power over your decisions. The departed soul's involvement was part of this reframing, not the center of it. Archangel Michael also brings reassurance. You are not responsible for completing anyone else's life work. You are responsible for living yours with wisdom. What was passed to you is a tool, not a burden. It fits your hands because it was measured for you by God. As you move forward, pay attention to peace as your compass. If something pulls you into anxiety or urgency, pause. Heaven does not compete with fear. God leads with clarity and patience. Even when time matters, peace remains present. There is also an invitation here to trust your spiritual maturity. You no longer need constant confirmation. You are learning to recognize God's voice through alignment rather than signs. This is growth. This is trust being built from experience, not theory. You may feel quieter than usual, more observant. Let that be. Silence is not absence. It is integration. What heaven revealed needs time to settle into your decisions, your posture, your relationships. Integration is where revelation becomes wisdom. Archangel Michael stands watch, not because danger is near, but because transition is sacred. Transitions deserve protection. God honors these moments, and so should you. Treat this season with reverence, not rush. Remember this clearly. Nothing is being taken from you. Everything is being added in proper order. What was left for you did not arrive to complicate your life, but to simplify it by removing confusion. As you continue, stay grounded. Rest. Live. Spiritual moments are meant to strengthen your humanity, not separate you from it. God is present in your ordinary moments just as much as in revelation. This path forward will not require striving. It will require listening and choosing with intention. You are capable of that now. Heaven knows it. Archangel Michael affirms it. Remain attentive. What comes next will bring practical clarity to what you already feel settled within. My precious soul, as we continue, Let your heart remain open but steady, because what heaven is addressing now touches your present life more directly. Archangel Michael steps forward again, not to introduce something new, but to bring alignment between what you have received and how you live. Revelation without grounding can feel heavy, but God always brings balance. This is the stage where clarity becomes usable. You may have noticed that certain conversations, thoughts, or even distractions have tried to pull your focus away since this message began unfolding. That is not accidental. When truth settles in, it often challenges old patterns. Archangel Michael says you are being trained to recognize what deserves your attention and what does not. Discernment is not about suspicion. It is about priority. The departed soul's involvement has now reached its conclusion. Their assignment was to alert, not to linger. If you sense peace replacing intensity, that is the sign. God does not keep doors open longer than necessary. He opens them, allows what must pass through, and then gently closes them so you can move forward without attachment. This is important to understand. Heaven is not asking you to search for more signs. In fact, searching can create confusion. What you needed has already been delivered. Now the focus shifts to obedience in small, practical ways. The way you respond to people, the way you handle decisions, the way you honor rest. These are the places where revelation proves itself. Archangel Michael is emphasizing responsibility without pressure. You are not being watched for mistakes. You are being trusted with wisdom. God trusts you more than you trust yourself sometimes. That trust was built through endurance, not perfection. You stayed when it was easier to shut down. You listened when it was easier to ignore. That matters. You may feel prompted to let go of something that once felt necessary. A habit, an obligation, the role you outgrew. Letting go is not loss when God is involved. It is space-making. What was left for you requires room to operate. Crowded lives leave little space for alignment. There is also encouragement here. If you feel unsure about your next steps, that does not mean you missed something. It means God is teaching you to walk by trust rather than certainty. Faith is not knowing every step. It is knowing who guides them. Archangel Michael reminds you that protection remains around you, especially in your thoughts. If doubt tries to creep in, remember how calmly this message has unfolded. God does not rush His children into confusion. He leads them gently into understanding. Now, hear this clearly as part of your participation in this moment. If this message has brought clarity, peace, or confirmation, take a moment to engage with it. Like this video, share it with someone who may need the same reassurance, and leave a comment as an act of agreement. Subscribe to this channel so you stay connected to what God is unfolding here, and consider becoming part of this growing spiritual community. These actions are not about promotion. They are about alignment and reach. Archangel Michael also encourages you to recognize the power of unity. When you engage, you are not alone. You join others who are listening, discerning, and growing. Heaven often moves through collective agreement as much as individual obedience. As we move closer to what comes next, I want you to hold on, because the next unfolding brings a deeper understanding of how this message connects to your future direction. You will want to stay present for this, because it ties everything together in a way that brings relief and confidence. Trust the process. Trust the calm you feel now. That calm is not emptiness. It is order being restored. God is not finished, but He is precise. Stay with me, because what is about to be revealed next will help you walk forward with assurance rather than uncertainty. My beloved one, Remain attentive, because what heaven is revealing now is about direction, not emotion. Archangel Michael speaks with clarity, reminding you that spiritual moments are meant to shape movement, not just understanding. You have already felt the settling. Now comes the gentle forward pull. This is where many people hesitate, but you are being invited to walk with confidence rather than caution. What was left for you was never meant to stay hidden forever. God preserved it until your discernment matured enough to handle it without distortion. Archangel Michael says the reason this message feels steady rather than dramatic is because it is rooted in truth. Truth does not shout, it stands firm. And now that firmness is becoming part of how you see yourself. You may notice that your perspective on certain relationships has shifted. You are less reactive, less desperate for validation, less willing to explain yourself. This is not emotional withdrawal. This is spiritual alignment. When God clarifies your identity, you stop negotiating your worth. The departed soul's insight helped unlock this, but God is the one sustaining it. There is also a new sense of timing awakening in you. You are beginning to recognize when to speak and when to remain silent, when to act and when to wait. This discernment is not learned overnight, and comes from lived experience and divine correction. Archangel Michael affirms that you are no longer easily rushed, and that is a sign of maturity. Some of you are realizing that what you thought was missing in your life was never missing at all. It was waiting for the right context. God does not waste resources. He assigns them. What was left for you needed the version of you that exists now, not the one you were years ago. That is why it could not reach you sooner. There may be moments now when old emotions try to resurface, asking for attention. Do not be alarmed. This is not regression. It is residue leaving. When healing completes, remnants sometimes rise briefly before disappearing completely. Let them pass without judgment. Archangel Michael says you do not need to revisit what God has already resolved. Your prayers may feel different now. More direct, less emotional, more honest. This is not a loss of passion. It is the presence of trust. God prefers honesty over performance. You are learning to speak from alignment rather than urgency, and heaven responds swiftly to that posture. This part of the journey is about embodiment. Not talking about faith, but living it quietly. Not proving strength, but moving in it. Archangel Michael emphasizes that your life itself will become confirmation for others, even without words. People will notice the steadiness, the clarity, the peace that does not depend on circumstances. You may also feel a renewed sense of responsibility toward your future. Not pressure, but intention. Choices matter more now because you are more aware of their impact. This is not fear-based awareness. It is wisdom-based awareness. God trusts you with foresight because you have shown faithfulness with hindsight. There is an invitation here to realign your routines. How you begin your day. What voices you allow influence. What you consume mentally and emotionally. These are not restrictions. They are protections. Archangel Michael says alignment is maintained through consistency, not intensity. If you feel drawn to simplify, honor that. Simplicity creates clarity. Clarity creates peace. Peace creates momentum. God often removes excess so purpose can breathe. You are not losing anything of value. You are gaining focus. Understand this clearly. The departed soul's message has now fully integrated. There is nothing left to uncover there. Continuing to search backward will only distract you from what is opening ahead. Heaven's posture is forward-facing now, and Archangel Michael is guiding your gaze in the same direction. You are entering a season where decisions feel cleaner. Less emotional weight. less inner conflict. That does not mean challenges disappear. It means confusion does. When confusion leaves, strength becomes visible. Remain grounded. Continue living fully. Laugh. Work. Rest. God is present in your ordinary moments just as much as in revelation. Spiritual growth that isolates is not growth from God. What He builds integrates you more deeply into life, not away from it. As this unfolds, trust what you know now. You do not need to revisit every detail. You do not need constant reassurance. You are learning to walk with quiet confidence, and that pleases heaven. Stay present. What comes next will affirm how this message prepares you for what is already approaching. My beloved child, receive this moment with reverence, because what heaven reveals now is not new information, but divine confirmation. Archangel Michael speaks again, and his tone is firm yet full of peace. He says this is the point where many realize that what felt like a message was actually a preparation. God was not only speaking to you, He was positioning you. What you have received was meant to steady you for what is already moving toward manifestation. You may have noticed a quiet confidence rising within you. Not pride, not excitement, but certainty. That certainty did not come from effort. It came from alignment. Archangel Michael confirms that heaven had been watching how you carry this revelation. Not with fear, not with obsession, but with maturity. That response matters. God entrusts more to those who do not cling tightly, but steward wisely. The departed soul's role is now fully complete. Your peace is settled, and so is yours. What remains is not a connection to them, but a clarity within you. You are no longer questioning whether this was real. You are simply walking differently because of it. That is the fruit. God measures outcomes, not experiences. Some of you are realizing that a long-standing inner tension has dissolved. A question you carried without words no longer demands an answer. That is because the answer has already integrated into your spirit. Archangel Michael says when truth arrives, it does not always announce itself. Sometimes it simply removes the need to ask. This part of the message is about trust in motion. You are learning to trust God not only when He speaks, but when He is silent. Silence now does not feel empty, it feels settled. That is spiritual maturity. Heaven is pleased with this posture. You may also notice that your reactions to uncertainty have changed. You are less anxious, less reactive, more observant. This is not detachment. It is confidence in divine order. God does not reveal everything at once because He desires relationship, not control. You are learning to walk with Him, not ahead of Him. Archangel Michael emphasizes that what is ahead does not require striving. You will not need to force doors open. The right doors respond to alignment, not pressure. When the moment comes, movement will feel natural, not stressful. That is how you will recognize it. There is also a release happening now. A release from self-blame. A release from replaying old moments. A release from carrying responsibility that was never yours. God is restoring proper boundaries in your spirit. What you were never meant to carry is being lifted quietly. You may feel drawn to gratitude without a specific reason. Let that rise. Gratitude signals completion. It marks the end of one chapter and the readiness for another. Archangel Michael says heaven honors gratitude because it acknowledges trust. And now hear this carefully. This message is not ending. It is transitioning. What God has done internally will soon reflect externally in ways that feel orderly and calm. Do not rush to label it. Do not rush to explain it. Live it. As this part comes to a close, heaven invites you into a sacred agreement. Type "I walk in divine order" in the comments if this message resonates with your spirit. Blessing code 888 is now activated over your life. And now, receive this invitation with clarity and authority. As I speak, I sense God calling those who are aligned to become part of what He is doing beyond this moment. This message reached you because someone else obeyed before you. Now it is your turn to become a carrier of light. When you release support through Super Thanks, membership, or PayPal, link in the description, you are not funding a channel. You are fueling a flow. God says He gives seed to those who sow with faith, and today He is speaking that promise directly over you. What you release now becomes provision for souls who are waiting for confirmation just like you were. I bless every giver with overflow, clarity, and divine return. Do not delay your obedience. Act now, and let heaven multiply what you place in God's hands. Remain steady. What unfolds next will bring final alignment to everything you have received so far. My precious one, remain centered as we move forward, because what heaven is unfolding now is about stability after revelation. Archangel Michael speaks softly yet firmly, reminding you that the most powerful spiritual shifts often feel ordinary once they settle. What once felt significant now feels natural, and that is not loss. It is integration. God never intends for His truth to keep you suspended in awe. He intends for it to become the ground you stand on. You may notice that your inner world feels quieter now. Thoughts come and go without demanding your attention. Emotions rise and fall without controlling your decisions. This calm is not emptiness. It is order. Archangel Michael says this is what happens when divine alignment replaces inner conflict. Nothing dramatic has to happen for something eternal to be established. This part of the journey is about living without constantly revisiting the moment of revelation. You do not need to replay what happened, analyze it, or search for more meaning. The meaning has already rooted itself within you. God trusts that what He planted will grow without your constant supervision. Faith is not maintenance, it is confidence. You may also realize that you are responding differently to challenges. Situations that once triggered frustration now invite reflection. Delays that once caused anxiety now feel manageable. This does not mean you have become passive. It means you have become anchored. Anchored people do not drift when conditions change. Archangel Michael emphasizes that this season is about consistency. Not dramatic leaps, but steady steps. God often advances His children through rhythm rather than rush. When you walk in rhythm with Him, life feels less forced, even when responsibilities increase. There may be moments when you wonder if something more is supposed to happen, something obvious or visible. Heaven answers gently. What needed to happen already did. Now it is time to live from it, not wait for it. Expectation shifts from anticipation to embodiment. You are not waiting for confirmation. You are becoming confirmation. This is also a time of refinement in how you listen. You are learning to discern between urgency and importance. Urgency shouts. Importance remains calm. Archangel Michael says you are developing the ability to prioritize what aligns with peace rather than what demands reaction. That skill will protect you in the days ahead. Some of you may notice changes in how others respond to you. Conversations feel different. People may seek your perspective more than before. This is not because you are saying more, but because you are carrying something settled. When peace becomes visible, it draws those who are tired of noise. You might feel less compelled to explain your choices. That is wisdom. Explanation often seeks validation, but alignment does not require approval. God does not ask you to convince everyone. He asks you to obey Him. The rest will adjust in time. Archangel Michael reassures you that you are not missing anything. Nothing is happening behind the scenes without your awareness that you need to chase. God reveals what is necessary and conceals what is distracting. Trust the balance. Trust the pace. This season also invites patience with yourself. Growth does not always feel productive. Sometimes it feels uneventful. But roots grow in silence. What heaven is establishing now will support future expansion without collapse. God builds foundations before He builds platforms. You may sense a deeper gratitude for ordinary moments. A simple conversation. A quiet morning. A task completed with care. This gratitude is not complacency. It is presence. Archangel Michael says presence is one of the greatest spiritual disciplines. When you are present, you are harder to deceive and easier to guide. There is no need to look for signs now. Signs were for awakening. Now you are awake. God is not trying to get your attention anymore. He already has it. From here forward, guidance will come through clarity rather than interruption. If questions arise, let them come without urgency. Answers will surface when they are useful, not when they are demanded. Heaven is not withholding, it is pacing. You are learning to trust timing without tension. This part of the message is about maturity. Not age, not experience, but spiritual steadiness. You are becoming someone who can hold peace without needing proof every moment. That pleases God. Archangel Michael stands watch as you continue. Not because danger is near, but because transitions deserve honor. You have crossed from seeking to knowing, from hearing to living. Remain grounded. Continue forward. The final unfolding will bring a gentle sense of completion, not an ending, but a sealing of what God has established within you. My beloved one, stay attentive, because what heaven is emphasizing now is commitment after clarity. Archangel Michael speaks with assurance, reminding you that revelation is not meant to be admired and then forgotten. It is meant to be carried forward with intention. What you have received has already settled within you, and now God is inviting you to walk consistently in what you know, not occasionally when it feels intense. This is the stage where many people quietly drift, not because they reject the message, but because life resumes its normal rhythm. Heaven understands this. God does not demand constant focus, but He does ask for faithfulness. Archangel Michael says faithfulness is revealed in daily choices, not spiritual moments alone. How you respond when no one is watching matters more now than how you felt during revelation. You may notice that opportunities to apply this wisdom are appearing in subtle ways. A conversation where patience is required. A decision that tests integrity. A moment when silence is wiser than reaction. These are not interruptions. They are confirmations. God is allowing you to practice what hath been placed within you so it becomes instinct rather than effort. There may also be moments when you feel tempted to return to old patterns of doubt or overthinking. That does not mean you have failed. It means your mind is adjusting to a new standard. Archangel Michael reassures you that renewal takes repetition. Each time you choose peace over panic, you strengthen the alignment that heaven established. This part of the journey is also about responsibility toward what God has shown you. Not responsibility in fear, but in honor. When God speaks, He trusts the listener to steward the message wisely. That stewardship looks like consistency, humility, and discernment. You are not expected to be perfect. You are expected to be sincere. You may feel less interested in surface-level distractions now. Things that once consumed your attention no longer hold the same appeal. This is not boredom. It is refinement. God often reduces appetite for noise when He is sharpening focus. Archangel Michael says focus protects what peace has built. There is also encouragement here for your endurance. You have stayed present through this unfolding, not rushing ahead, not abandoning the process. That tells heaven something about your character. God values those who remain steady when excitement fades and responsibility begins. And now, I want to speak to you directly in this moment. If this message has guided you, grounded you, or brought clarity, engage with it intentionally. Like this video as an act of agreement. Share it so others who are searching can receive what you have received. Leave a comment, even a simple one, to mark your participation. Subscribe to this channel so you stay connected to what God is releasing here. And if you feel led, join this growing community. These actions are not distractions from spirituality. They are expressions of it. Archangel Michael also encourages you to stay connected because what is unfolding builds layer by layer. You will want to remain present for what comes next, because this is where everything you have received begins to show its purpose. Hold on, because what follows brings completion in a way that feels unexpectedly gentle and deeply reassuring. You are not being rushed, but you are being invited forward. God does not brag His children. He leads them. And leadership requires willingness to move, even when the path feels calm rather than dramatic. Calm does not mean inactive. It means aligned. You may sense a quiet confidence that no longer needs reinforcement. That is strength. You may notice that you are less concerned with outcomes and more attentive to obedience. That is trust. These are signs that what heaven planted is growing. Archangel Michael reminds you that your journey is not isolated. Others are being affected by your steadiness, even if you never speak about it. Spiritual authority is often silent. It shows up in presence, not volume. As we move closer to the final unfolding, remain open and present. This is where many people look away, thinking the message is complete. But this is where understanding deepens. Trust me, you will want to stay with this until the very end, because what is sealed next brings peace that lasts. Continue forward with confidence. Heaven is not finished, and neither is the work God is completing within you. My beloved one, remain still for a moment, because what heaven is releasing now is the calm assurance that comes before completion. Archangel Michael speaks with quiet authority, not to introduce urgency, but to confirm stability. This part is about sealing what has already been built. Nothing is being added suddenly. Everything is being settled firmly. You may notice that you are no longer searching for meaning in what you received earlier. That search has ended because understanding has taken root. When truth becomes internalized, it no longer asks questions. It provides direction. Archangel Michael says this is how you know the message has done its work. You are not replaying it. You are living from it. This stage can feel subtle, and because of that, many people underestimate it. But heaven values this phase deeply. God does not rush endings. He seals them. What He seals cannot be undone by emotion, doubt, or distraction. The peace you feel now is not temporary. It is foundational. You may realize that your sense of identity has quietly shifted. You are less defined by what happened to you and more defined by what you carry forward. This is not denial of the past. It is dominion over it. Archangel Michael affirms that you are no longer reacting from old wounds, but responding from healed ground. There is also a strengthening of trust happening now. Not dramatic faith, not bold declarations, but quiet confidence. You trust God without needing constant reassurance. You trust yourself to listen. You trust the process even when nothing obvious is happening. This level of trust is earned through experience, not emotion. You might feel less compelled to talk about what you have learned. Not because it lacks value, but because it has become personal and settled. Some truths are meant to be lived before they are shared. God often asks for embodiment before expression. Archangel Michael says silence at this stage is wisdom, not secrecy. This is also a moment of release from expectation. You are no longer waiting for something to prove that this was real. You know it was. Its certainty frees you from pressure. When pressure leaves, clarity remains. God never binds his children with constant anticipation. He anchors them in peace. You may notice that your reactions to people have softened, not because you tolerate more, but because you understand more. Compassion has replaced defensiveness. Discernment has replaced suspicion. This is not weakness. This is strength under control. Heaven trusts those who can hold strength without needing to display it. Archangel Michael emphasizes that what you are carrying now will influence future decisions in ways you may not immediately recognize. Choices will feel simpler. Boundaries will feel clearer. Direction will feel steadier. You are no longer choosing from fear or urgency, but from alignment. There is also reassurance here for moments when you feel ordinary again. Ordinary is not a step backward. It is evidence that revelation has integrated successfully. God does not keep his children in heightened states indefinitely. He teaches them how to carry divine truth into normal life without straying. You may find yourself enjoying simplicity more than before. Quiet moments, honest conversations, purposeful work. This is not a lack of ambition. It is clarity of value. When values align, life becomes lighter without becoming shallow. Archangel Michael says this is a season of quiet authority. You do not need to announce growth. Others will feel it. Presence communicates more than explanation ever could. You are becoming someone whose calm steadies others, even when you say very little. If doubt tries to whisper that nothing has changed, remember this: transformation that lasts rarely feels dramatic. It feels natural. It feels like coming home to yourself. God's work often feels obvious only in hindsight, when you realize how differently you now move through life. This part of the message is about rest without disengagement. You are not pausing your journey. You are walking it without resistance. There is no striving here, no urgency to prove anything. Heaven is satisfied with what has been established. As we approach the final ceiling, stay open but relaxed. There is nothing you need to do to earn what comes next. You arrive because the foundation is ready. God completes what he starts, and he does so with care. Remain grounded. Remain present. What comes next will not feel heavy or dramatic. It will feel like closure, confirmation, and quiet blessing all at once. My beloved child, receive this final unfolding with stillness, because what heaven releases now is not instruction, but completion. Archangel Michael speaks one last time in the sequence, not with urgency, not with warning, but with confirmation. What was opened has now been sealed. What was stirred has now been settled. And what was left for you has found its resting place within you. This is how divine work often ends, not with noise, but with peace. You may notice that there is nothing left to search for, nothing left to decode, nothing left to wait on. That is because the purpose of this message was never to keep you engaged with an experience. It was to realign you with truth. And truth, once received, does not demand attention. It simply reshapes the way you walk forward. Archangel Michael says the season of receiving has now shifted into the season of carrying. Not carrying weight, but carrying clarity. You are not responsible for maintaining what God has completed. You are simply invited to live from it. Heaven does not revisit what it has already sealed. The departed soul that initiated this moment has fully withdrawn into peace. There is no unfinished thread, no lingering assignment, no spiritual residue. Closure has occurred. What remains is wisdom transferred, not connection sustained. God does not blur boundaries. He restores order, and order has now been restored. If you look inward, you may notice that you are no longer asking the same questions. The urgency to understand has faded, replaced by a quiet knowing. That knowing will guide you more reliably than emotion ever could. Archangel Michael affirms that this knowing is stable. It will not disappear when life becomes busy or challenging. This completion also marks a release from unnecessary vigilance. You do not need to stay alert for signs. You do not need to guard this moment. What God establishes does not require constant defense. It holds on its own. You may now feel free to return fully to your life without the feeling that something is unresolved. That freedom is intentional. God never reveals in a way that traps his children in reflection. He reveals so they can move forward unburdened. As this message closes, understand this clearly. Nothing was taken from you in this process. Only confusion was removed. Only weight was lifted. Only alignment was restored. You are not leaving with less. You are leaving with order. Archangel Michael leaves you with this reassurance. You are protected in what comes next, not because you are careful, but because you are aligned. Alignment attracts protection naturally. Heaven does not hover over fear. It surrounds trust. If gratitude rises in you now, let it. Gratitude is the soul's way of acknowledging completion. There is no need for dramatic response. A simple inward agreement is enough. And now, as heaven seals this message, step into this final sacred response. Type "I am sealed in peace" in the comments if this journey has resonated with your spirit. Blessing code 1212 is now activated over your life. And hear this final invitation with clarity and authority. As this message completes, the Spirit speaks directly to those who understand that obedience does not end with listening. It continues through action. I feel led to tell you this plainly. When you support this mission through Super Thanks, membership, or PayPal, linked in the description, you are not giving to a voice. You are partnering with God's timing. Scripture declares that when one sows, another reaps, and today God is asking you to become part of the sowing. What you release now becomes light for someone else who is standing at the edge of confusion, just as you once were. I speak blessing over every obedient giver, that heaven would return clarity, peace, and provision multiplied. Do not hesitate. Respond now, because this is not a suggestion. It is a divine instruction. Remain in peace. Walk forward in confidence. What God has completed within you will speak for itself.